Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. I'm your temporary host, Jeff Cork, joined today by Kyle Hilliard on the sticks.
Hey,
he's our resident Halo prodigy.
Sure, I'll take that.
Yeah, and Matt Miller, who's some
As
guy.
he dies. Yeah, hey Jeff, how's it going?
Good. So this is Halo 4. Checking out some multiplayer.
Oh, I just died. Well, here, let's talk about this right now. I'm seeing myself get killed from the perspective of somebody else.
Isn't that great? One of many new features coming to Halo 4 on November 6th. It's one of several things that they've done that are a little bit of nods to the competitors on the market and cool things that they do. It maybe is going to be upsetting for some fans that they've tried to ape some of those features from games like Call of Duty, but in a lot of ways it results in a really quality gameplay experience. And I've ultimately, over several weeks of playing this multiplayer, kind of warmed to a lot of those features. So let's talk about some of them.
Yeah, let's do it.
We already saw one. Halo 4's multiplayer lets you see when you die how you died. It shows you a perspective on the person who killed you. It shows you how they did it, kind of from their perspective, which is a great learning tool. And it also is kind of eases the frustration of death sometimes, because I remember in Halo 2 and 3 and playing in Reach, sometimes you die and just be like, I don't even know how I got killed there. So that problem's now solved.
Kill cam.
Exactly. They have also, kind of in tandem with that, if you don't want to watch your own death in replay, you can instead respawn immediately, which is sort of a new thing. They have also changed the scoring approach pretty dramatically. Wow, these guys are pretty rough.
Yeah, I swear I'm better at Halo than this. Slightly better.
Here's the thing about playing online Halo in the weeks before release. Most of the people online there's a few other press people who are off and on, and then it's a lot of people from the development studio. And it turns out they know their game pretty well. Hey, you got a super combine there. Nicely done. Right. So we were talking about things that make it distinct from previous Halo games. You have this scoring system that, instead of being focused on like kill, death, all that kind of stuff, it is instead focused on scoring. And so you might get 10 points for a kill, or 15 points for a special type of kill. You might get 5 points for an assist. And while it takes a little while to get used to that, it ultimately, I think, gives some added dynamic to the way that the game feels, because you're always kind of working to hit those point values, and you get points for any number of different things that you can do, which is kind of fun.
And you've got like a persistent character as well, too, so those points then can be used for upgrades?
Well, basically, what you're getting points that move you towards experience that raises your sort of Spartan rank or whatever. But you're also getting points that let you unlock new aspects of your loadout. As you rise in rank, you're also being able to further customize your armor set, which is really cool. But you bring up a much more kind of central point that we haven't talked about yet, which is that like the entirety of Halo 4's multiplayer is a sort of integrated experience between competitive and cooperative play. The idea, they call it infinity multiplayer because the whole thing is set on or connected to the UNSC Infinity, this massive human spaceship that carries the Spartan 4's out into deep space. And while you're on board, you're involved in war games to train. And that's basically all of the competitive matches. You're playing out on this sort of Star Trek style holodeck, where any number of different environments can be recreated for the Spartans to get better at shooting each other.
So do we learn where the flags are coming from and why they need to be captured? Is that covered at all?
There's a deep narrative thread, I think, about the flags, but maybe it just hasn't been opened up yet. But I'm really crossing my fingers.
DLC?
Maybe DLC.
Okay.
I'm crossing my fingers for like Legend of the Flags or something like that.
Ooh. I said DLC. Can you talk about this whole Spec Ops thing too?
The Spartan Ops.
Spartan Ops. Oh gosh, how embarrassing! I'm so sorry that I.
But yeah, Spartan Ops. It's awesome.
Is it completely different from something you might know?
It's completely different. Spartan Ops is actually pretty cool. It's the other half of this kind of integrated multiplayer experience where you have these cooperative missions that you can go on, and this is within the context of the narrative. You're actually a Spartan 4 who's going on away missions away from the Infinity into these new mission zones that have been crafted entirely for Spartan Ops. They're not like taken from the single player campaign or from the multiplayer maps. They're like new locations with new situations and objectives that you've got to confront. And they're rolling it out in a really interesting way. You'll get episode 1 the first week that it's out, and it comes with its own little like CG episode that sets up the story. And then you have like 5 missions that you can play through with your buddies. And at least in my experience, it took about an hour to get through these 5 missions.
Okay.
You can adjust the difficulty, so you can play on heroic or legendary if you want to make it more challenging. And these are mission areas that are really meant to be used by a group of players, unlike the single player campaign where you're often in sort of tighter quarters. These are often really big areas in Spartan Ops that you're wandering around with a lot of enemies in it, a lot of vehicles, that kind of stuff. And when you complete those missions, it contributes to the growth of your Spartan 4, but you also can come back the next week when they make episode 2 available, and episode 3 the week after that, and so on and so forth, so that you're constantly kind of returning to the game in the months after launch to play cooperatively with your friends.
And these are kind of strung together in a larger story? Is that
Yeah,
the
supposedly
idea?
there's going to be a larger story. I mean, the initial episode is it's a pretty bare bones story. It's basically there's this squad of Spartan 4s that are on the Infinity, and we see the sort of commander who is in charge of all the different fire teams on the Infinity, and we also get to know the captain of the ship and the AI that's on the ship and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But, it's pretty cool. I mean, the CG itself was quite cool. The very first episode included this great space battle that we got to see where the Infinity took on a bunch of Covenant ships. And the quality of the CG itself is quite high. So, I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what they do with that story.
So do you want to talk about like some of the new stuff in gameplay, like the new loadouts, and like one thing that I like a lot is one of the in Halo Reach, one of the loadouts was your sprint.
Yeah.
And now you just have a dedicated button for sprint, which is nice because I think a lot of gamers like myself would just choose that loadout. Like you almost got addicted to just having sprint.
Agreed.
And you would kind of choose it in lieu of like a jetpack or something.
I think that's exactly what 343 Industries was finding about the way that people had played Reach. And they said, okay, well, in that case, we want people to be able to choose an interesting loadout rather than just the utility of a sprint. So we're going to give everybody sprint and make loadouts, your actual like armor ability be something more interesting than that. And so you now have things like the auto sentry, which sets up a little kind of floating turret right there.
That's what it looks like.
That attacks people who come in your direction. There's Promethean vision, which lets you see through walls. There's the hard light shield, which is a really great defense right in front of you, but you're not able to fire while it's out. So there's a lot of interesting new armor abilities and a few returning armor abilities that are a lot of fun. But those armor abilities are just one part of the wider new customizable loadouts that you have. So as you play, you're actually unlocking more loadouts and the options you have different loadouts, as well as basically different weapons that you can put into those loadouts and different abilities. So for instance, you might start out with assault rifle and magnum as your primary weapon and your secondary, but later on you'll put it in so that you start out with a battle rifle, as you are right now.
Yes.
Right? You're also being able to put in little special, what amount to perks on your character. So for instance, you might have a little special ability, a secondary ability that lets you sprint endlessly, right? That you never tire of your sprint and you can just always sprint. Or there's another one that makes your shields recharge just a little bit faster. And more than that, you can have multiple loadouts that you customize. So you can really shape it like, okay, well, this battle rifle isn't working very well on this map. The next time I die, I'm going to switch over and do something else.
Ooh,
he got you in midair. That was crazy. And so the loadouts are pretty cool. There's also lots of customization of your actual armor and your emblem and the way that your character, like the stance that he or she stands in when they're in the kind of the game lobby before a match. So there's lots of reasons to kind of stay in the game and keep growing your character and trying out new things.
Something interesting we talked about earlier is the fact that weapons, when they spawn on the map, they spawn in random places, which I think changes things considerably.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually, I think, one of the smartest balancing features they've implemented this time around, which is that if you think back on previous Halo games you may have played, really experienced players start to learn exactly where on the map you're going to be able to find a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher or any number of these really awesome items that really change the course of the battle. And less experienced players just don't know where to go for those. So instead, now they have the idea that you can, that there are these drops, these random drops that occur around the level with some of those really major weapons, like the rocket launcher that just killed Kyle.
That just killed me. I skipped the little cutscene thing.
I think we got the gist of
because
it.
I was pretty sure I knew how to kill him, or how he killed me, rather.
Yeah.
I don't know how to kill him. That was clearly the case.
And so those ordnance drops do two things. A, they make it better for people who don't know the map as well to have a chance, but they also create these little hot spots of combat as people rush in to try to get the item. Another way that you have ordnance drops is something that's actually available to Kyle right now. For having done some cool things and killed some dudes, I think probably back when you had that ghost a few lives back.
That 5 seconds that I did pretty well.
You can now call down an ordnance drop of something that's interesting for you. So, for instance, I think you have access to either the hammer,
Yeah, I'm gonna do the hammer.
There's a special gun, or you could have gotten like either a shield boost or a speed boost. And so you've got this super awesome hammer now, so you'll be like a melee juggernaut, presuming you can get close enough before.
Yeah, and
somebody
I'll probably
kills you.
get like 1,000 kills right now. I'll catch up real quick.
I'm sure you
Shouldn't
will.
be a problem.
I'm sure you will.
These guys have been letting me get pretty close, so
Yeah, it should be fine.
yeah. I dropped my assault rifle, my battle rifle, which was really smart.
Very strategic.
Yeah, you just really, another good thing about this video, other than getting a bunch of Halo information, is that you just see like a lot of good hints on how to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, keep your pistol, you know.
Keep your pistol. Get rid of. I saw a dude back there.
Oh, you got him! I got a kill.
And he
done.
was the last guy who killed you, so you got a revenge thing.
All right.
So this is what I'm talking about. This is kind of what I like about the scoring system. Did you
You're
get
a
it?
monster.
I don't know what.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he was a
that was a
hologram.
hologram, yeah.
Oh,
so he's back here somewhere.
Crafty.
Uh-oh. Oh, man.
So
well,
close.
now it's over.
Maybe.
Well, you have your battle rifle back, so
All
that's
right,
good
we're
news.
good.
The game has a bunch of awesome maps. There are no maps that in my first few weeks of playing really call out to me as like the absolute classics that we might have had in previous years. But you know, maybe those will emerge over time. It's really hard to tell after even just a few weeks of playing what maps are going to be true favorites and step up into that space like Blood Gulch and maps like that.
Zanzibar.
Yeah, Zanzibar is a well-loved map. But the maps that are here, I think, are really strong, and they support lots of different game types, including the new game types. There's like the territory style kind of domination stuff. They have Regicide now, which is a really great sort of variation on Slayer, where there's always one person who's got the lead in points, and there's a bounty on killing that king. And so once again, it kind of converges the players together into really tight scrums, which is really fun. So yeah, I think the maps support all these different game types really well, and I've been having fun with them.
I grabbed one of the new loadouts, which is new to Halo 4, is the shield here, which I haven't mastered it at all. I literally just started using it like a 5 seconds
You haven't
ago.
mastered it yet?
I haven't mastered it. Yeah, you'd think that all this time was spent with
Yeah, the
it.
hard light shields can be pretty cool. I think if you're trying to approach somebody that's got some sort of heavy weapon, it'd be a nice way to knock them out. Or not get knocked out, rather.
Yeah, it kind of feels like...
You almost killed yourself right there, Kyle.
I thought I saw a ghost or something. I have no excuse. This is always a useful vehicle that you get lots of kills with. So I'll get on that.
Well, it seems like it's doing really well for you right now.
Yeah.
But with that depleting shield that's going on.
I'm not dead, so that counts for something.
Yeah.
Now, of course, today we are looking at this Infinity multiplayer stuff, which is very robust and I think should keep Halo multiplayer fans happy for a long time. Hey, congratulations. It was
welcome.
all you, Kyle.
Yeah.
I tried to kill myself at the end. I threw a grenade at my face, but it
Kyle-
got away to the final kill.
The Maestro.
But we haven't
Sharks
talked
versus
about
stingrays.
we haven't talked about the other part of this game that we're not looking at today, which is the campaign, which is certainly very awesome. I was very impressed with what 343 Industries did with the campaign. It still feels like Halo, but it has really high production values. The campaign just looks gorgeous. The lighting, the shadows, the textures that they're playing around with. It sounds awesome. It might be my favorite sound effects ever in a video game.
Really?
Just really, really great sound effects in the campaign, and just overall sound design. Although, just a little complaint. It bothers me that they still don't let you tweak your own sound options.
Oh, like changing the volume of the dialogue.
Where the music is going to balance against sound
Yeah.
effects and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we talked about this. I thought, and you agreed with me, that we thought that was like a Martin O'Donnell thing, like the guy that did all the music for the original Halos. We thought he was like the one that was like no adjusting of the sound, but apparently it's
Something's carried over there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the sound is really great. But perhaps more importantly, the gameplay is really solid and introduces a number of new elements that are a lot of fun. Most significantly, new weapons and grenade type, and new enemies to fight. The Prometheans are a really cool new class of enemies that easily stand beside the Flood and the Covenant as a challenging, exciting enemy to confront in the story.
Cool.
I also like another thing I really appreciated about the campaign is the challenge. I think especially on heroic and legendary, it's a really challenging game, and I had a blast trying to kind of solve the puzzle of individual battlefields and make my way through it. My one complaint about that difficulty though is that like I love the sort of blistering challenge, but I don't like it when my checkpoints are like 10 minutes back.
Right.
And I wish that 343 Industries had done a little bit more to be forgiving in those checkpoints, because you know those first 5 minutes that you've done 20 times before you get to the really hard fight just aren't that much fun.
And you said that ammunition is pretty scarce too.
Yeah, this was an interesting choice that 343 made with the game. There's definitely more resource management in the campaign than there has been before, in that you've got a very limited ammo on a lot of the pickup guns that you encounter. And they do throw out a lot of different weapons onto the battlefield, but it's easy to run out of any one ammo. And if you kind of get off the beaten path, you might just entirely be out of ammo, and have to kind of run back and scavenge for more, which really breaks up the action. And that's not what I personally want out of a Halo game. I want to keep the action going, keep it really exciting at all times. Oh, you almost had him.
Yeah.
And that limited ammo is frustrating at times, and I think a lot of people may find frustration there. But I would say I would balance that statement against the fact that there are times that I really loved that it limited my ammo, because it was exciting to like fire off my one blast of needler shots and then run over and pick up a assault rifle and fire that for like 10 seconds and then fling that to the ground and pick up a sniper rifle. And you know, there's this constant like change up of what's going on. I think that was a hologram.
Yeah,
by the way.
I thought it was, but usually when you hit them, they disappear.
Yeah,
so that's why I kept
there.
hammering away at them.
So, what did you give this, Miller?
I gave Halo 4 a 9.25. It's definitely, in my opinion, one of the strongest games this year. it's a worthy successor to the Halo franchise as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think you'd find a bigger Halo fan around these parts than me. I really love what Bungie used to do it, and I think 343 is going to bring us some cool things with the directions they're going to go. They're not afraid to make changes, which actually I know a lot of fans worry about changes. I worry when a new developer takes on a project that they're not going to make changes.
Yeah.
Because for me, that indicates that the franchise is really stagnating and isn't going to go anywhere, and that's a bad sign. And the fact that 343 Industries has created a game that feels like a Halo game but isn't afraid to try new things, I think is a really good sign for the future of the series.
Excellent. Well, thanks for playing some Halo there. Kyle, I think a lot of pro tips here.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be writing a feature soon on
how to excel
at multiplayer, because clearly I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a learning curve for lots of folks as they hop into this game for the first time, even if you've played Halo before, because they've rebalanced a lot of the weapons. There's all these new maps to learn.
And they won't be playing with developers, which helps.
Yeah, and the guys move around a lot and shoot, which is...
if they would just stand still.
I know, I could walk up behind him and hit him in the back.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you with another edition of Test Chamber.